You're from Chicago. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for your time. We got to see the film at Sundance in January. Saw the three of you wearing some magnificent wardrobe that Walt wore himself. So thank you for being here. My first question is, the year before that, I got to see Dolores Huerta's film, and now I got to see Walter Mercado's film. Can you tell us the importance for all three of you individually to get together and make the importance? What was the importance of making this film, not just for to show his life, but for the importance of getting it out there and getting for the younger generation to get to know Walter Mercado through your eyes and your views?
Yeah, I think for me, when we think of Latino stories, oftentimes the way that our culture is depicted in mainstream media is, narcos, the border issue, drug trafficking, criminals. There's a lot of very square depictions of the Latino community, and I think we wanted to show that our culture is incredibly complex, and we have some really amazing gems that we have been lucky enough to grow up with. And in our mind, Walter is definitely one of those people. Walter is Puerto Rican. This is an American story. He is one of the most fabulous people that's lived in the last century, and there was no story out there about him. And we think that is because there are not enough Latino filmmakers, not enough Latino executives to greenlight these kinds of stories, and we lived through it. We saw how difficult it was to get funding for this story. We had to make this movie basically without a budget. We went into production not fully funded at all. I mean, not even half funded. We weren't getting paid. We had to take other gigs or dip into our savings. We were asking favors, deferring payments. Really not the way that you want to make the movie. So we really hope that this film can do well, that this and can prove that our story, that people watch our stories and people care about our stories, and not just our community. We hope that Walter resonates with English speakers, with the 190 countries that it's going to be, that it is now live in. It's translated into 30 languages. So it's really important to us that there are more Latino filmmakers and hopefully we can help bring some up as well.
Awesome. Same questions to any of the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for mentioning the Dolores Huerta film, because I saw that film too and loved it, and I so greatly admire Dolores Huerta. I think it's important for us, as Cristina said, it's important, to remind people around the world, and I think in particular here in the United States, that we have our heroes too, and sometimes they're in the world of politics and activism like Dolores Huerta, and sometimes they're in the world of entertainment, and sometimes they run the bodega down the street and have been doing it for 40 years and serving a community. But we have our heroes, and they deserve to have their stories told. And if we as a community want to continue seeing those stories, we need to support Latino filmmakers and Latino films. It's incredibly important. We're telling everybody, obviously we're doing all this press because we're so excited to share this movie with the world, but it's really important that people watch it this week. It's really important that the data shows that Latinos want to see these stories, that it's important. And I think that people at large realize that maybe because you don't speak the same language or have a different accent, or you come from a different background, that there's things that you can learn too. I mean, I think Walter has such an incredibly powerful message about love and living with love and loving yourself and being yourself that regardless of where you come from will resonate. So yeah.
And it was a big, I think it was a big success for Netflix this week. And also the same time, it was a big success for you guys at Sundance, with being sold out at every show. My second question is, during the time that Walter was on TV and here in the States, there was much other content that Latinos could have watched, but what was the importance of that show coming into these Latino living rooms during those times?
Of Walter coming into those living rooms?
Yeah, what was the importance of the show coming into people's Latino?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's also part of the reason we made the movie in the first place. Like, I think it's important that we realize that the Latinx community is really broad, you know, and the Latinos are really a heterogeneous group. And oftentimes we don't center the stories of, you know, like Afro Latinos, indigenous Latinos, queer Latinos, right? And with Walter, it was definitely this thing of this, like, this guy who was gender kind of non-binary before that was really a term that was used. He was, you know, his sexuality was always somewhat in question, right? And yet he was universally embraced by people who were either very religious or very machista or very homophobic, right? Like, even those people who had that resistance to it normally seemed to embrace this person. And so for us, it's like that was a huge reason. As children, we were just mystified by a wizard on the TV. As adults, we reflected back and said, "Oh my God, like, how is it possible that this man made the impact that he made in our culture?" Yeah, I mean, to me, that was a huge part of why we made this, and the significance that he played sort of culturally.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you very much. My two kids who never met Walter, never saw him on TV, had a chance to see him at Sundance, got to see the doc. So thank you very much, and congrats on the film.
Thank you so much.